everyone, it's Rob Foglia and Jessica Klein with Foglia Properties here at Keller Williams in Nashville, and we're coming to you live today to talk about the real estate market. It's the first Friday in May, and first Friday of the month we always go through, or first Facebook Live of the month, I should say. It's usually Friday. We go through and look at the market stats and just kind of do our best to inform and educate. You ready to jump in and get started?
Yeah, let's see what updates we have this month, and maybe we'll have some surprises in here.
Absolutely. Well, so what shouldn't be a surprise that we've just continued to see the average sales price in Middle Tennessee just continue to rise significantly. I mean, that's something that I think everybody needs to be informed about. That's median right here, average also going up. I mean, that's something everybody, buyers and sellers and investors, need to know about and be aware of. I mean, if you look at where it's at for the entire MLS last month compared to April of 2020, look at that. It's almost a 23% increase. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, that's amazing, and honestly, pretty unprecedented in this 3-year stretch that we're looking at. I mean, there are a couple of other times where it's really increased. Now here in 2019, you see a really big jump, and it looks like we're kind of in a similar situation here.
Yeah, I mean, and if you look at this is just Davidson County, so Nashville's county. Just wanted to pull up a smaller section of the MLS, and you can see, I mean, it's over 18% of an increase. Just to put it in perspective for everybody, too, historically, the average increase that real estate tends to see year over year is about 4%, 3 to 4%. It's basically just tends to stay the same as inflation. Now, over the last few years, it's been closer to like 10% year over year. Some of that's been a correction of the market dip from about a dozen years ago. However, the last few years, it's been closer to 10%. But this is it's insane to see such a high jump. That's great for homeowners. That just means you have a higher, you have more equity in your property, and you have more equity that you can either tap into if you decide to sell and make a move. You've got more equity to tap into if you want to do some sort of cash out refinance and maybe do something around the house, or maybe you want to do that to pay off other debts that you have. I mean, there's a lot of smart things you can do with it. If you don't know what I mean by that, but if you heard like other debts, you want to get out of your student loans or your credit card debt or anything, reach out to us and we'll inform you. I'll walk you through what that looks like and get you connected with a great lender.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's a part of real estate and home ownership and all this that people don't talk about very often. Your home is an investment, whether you own one or 20. And it's important to keep an eye on that investment value every so often. And right now, if you haven't looked at the value of your home in the last 6 months, a year, absolutely give us a call. We can give you an idea of what market value is right now, and then you can assess what to do with that investment, whether, like you said, it's a refinance. You could do cash out, like Rob mentioned, or you can just continue to hold it going forward or sell. So yes, just very important to keep an eye on that.
And even Rutherford County, so Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, a couple other pockets as well, up almost 15% year over year. Again, that's insane. That's great. And just to give you a rough idea, so like last year in April, 304,000 was the average sales price in Rutherford County. As a kind of typical for what you think of as an average home in our area, like maybe a 2,400 square foot home, newer, things like that. Well, this year it's almost 350. I mean, that's a great increase for homeowners in terms of their property value. Cool thing too, and just one last thing before we move on to the next stat. Maybe you just bought your home over the last few years and you have PMI or that mortgage insurance. This type of an increase, like say you bought your home in 2018, just 3 years ago, April of 2018, that home could have been 265. It's almost worth $100,000 more. It's worth $80,000 or $90,000 more today than it was back then. That's built-in equity. You can more than likely get out of that mortgage insurance, reach out to the mortgage company, not the person who did your loan, but the person that you make the company you make your payments to right now. Reach out to them and let them know, hey, I think I can get out of this. If you're confused by that, or if they give you any pushback, reach out to us. We'll get you connected with the right people.
Absolutely. Now, Rob, let's look at our next stat, which
Absolutely.
I believe, months of supply.
Let's look at months of supply, and again, let's just stick with Rutherford County since that's what's up here.
Sure.
And just as a quick reminder to anybody maybe watching one of these videos for the first time, months of supply is an indicator that tells us what type of market we're in, if it's a buyer's market or a seller's market. And we'll just jump back to like a 5-year, or let's just go back to max. that the balanced market is the 6-month line. Everything below it tends to be a seller's market. How far we stray from that 6-month line is more of an extreme seller's market. And then above is a buyer's market. How far above it's more of an extreme buyer's market. As you can see, it is all-time low in terms of inventory levels and months of supply. And it's definitely what we would consider an extreme seller's market today, right? I mean, less than 1 month of supply, which is amazing. I mean, that's again, it's a great position to be in as a home seller.
Mhm.
And as a home buyer, don't get discouraged. There are still opportunities. We just need to jump on them when we see them, right?
Absolutely. And like you said, it don't let it discourage you as a buyer. Just be aware of the reality of the situation and work with someone who's really a professional and who's working in this market every day. I mean, we've throughout this whole, past year or if you go back to the larger part of that graph, throughout this whole seller's market, we've been helping buyers buy the entire time. And there's a lot to be said for how an offer is written, how homes are found, and so many other parts of the process. So please, like Rob said, don't let it discourage you. And if you're a seller, please consider, your position in this market. There's really never been a time where you've been in a more powerful position, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's never been a time when you've been in a more powerful position because real estate is definitely a supply and demand driven market. It absolutely is. And I mean, and you can just see for the entire MLS, and the entire MLS is our entire basically Middle Tennessee area, all the way from Clarksville down to South Tennessee, like Lawrenceburg and all that, places that we don't even go to, but all the entire area. And it's less than a month and a half of supply for the entire area, which is amazing. If we look at just all time, again, you can see it's just dropping significantly. One interesting thing is I do get amazed by some of the trend lines that we look at here. And just to give you an idea for the entire MLS, you can kind of see every year, like just take the last 18 months out of it. However, previously, every year just about, there's a pretty typical curve pattern. It go, toward the end of the year, there's a little bit less of supply, starts to peak toward the middle of the year, and then it goes back down toward the end of the year. It's just like a bell curve. And that's regardless of where it is on the overall trend line, it's always tends to be like that. Last year, obviously, was weird. I mean, COVID threw a monkey wrench into a lot of people's years and plans and lives. And that's one of the reasons why we thought last year was going to be such a strange year with inventory. Maybe we're still seeing the effects of that. Who knows? And yet it's going down throughout the year right now instead of going up, which again, it's great for homeowners, and it allows you to capitalize on what the market's doing, right?
Yeah, it really does. Like you said, it's been kind of a strange year. Well, a strange year and a half, I guess, for everybody in real estate. And like we said in every single video, it's just important to keep an eye on these statistics, on the market, and on your investments if you're a homeowner. Just to make sure that you're making the right decisions for yourself. And that's what we're here for, is just to help you analyze where you're at and where you want to get to, and to help you make the right decisions to get where you're going.
Absolutely, because in a market like this, while all the websites that are out there, our website included, that's a great place to maybe start getting some maybe general information. The reality is, reach out to us and let's schedule a more one-on-one conversation. Like we just did one of these last week with one of our past homeowners, our past home buyers, and he's thinking about making a move. And long story short, we were able to dive deeper into what he's looking for in a home, and then let him know what his options look like today. He hasn't been in his home for too long, so kind of spell out what that looks like for him, if he does want to move now, what that could look like, if he wants to wait, what that could look like as well. We're happy to do that for you too. So if you're seeing this video and you want that type of I guess like a review of your real estate, then reach out to us because we can make that happen. One other stat that I think it's important that we pull up right now. Well, it's almost, I guess, two. Let's look at two real quickly. Let's look at closed sales, because if we look at closed sales, we can see there's still homes that are selling, right? I mean, it's you can see every year. And here, let's just, instead of doing the monthly trend because it looks all jagged like one of those EKG lines, let's look at like the rolling 12 months. You can see it's still going up. It's the average. We're still selling homes in our market.
Yeah.
But the crazy thing about it, when we look at the amount of homes for sale, that's falling significantly. So like we've said a few times here, that the real estate market is very supply and demand driven, and we're seeing a shortage of supply right now. And that's why as a homeowner, you can capitalize. And in fact, if we just look at our entire MLS, the amount of homes for sale is down 50, almost 57% compared to this time last year. So to make the numbers real, the entire MLS, 8,269 homes for sale. April of 2020, over 19,000 homes. So you can see less than half. The reason why this matters is the buyers are still buying. Evidence based on what we just looked at in the closed sales. Like the buyers are still out there wanting to buy homes. There just aren't as many people who are putting their house on the market. So if you're a homeowner, or maybe like take your home out of it for a minute, like the home you live in, but maybe you own some investment property that you don't want to own anymore. Like I'm not talking about your retirement fund. I'm talking about that property you bought because you thought it was a good idea, that hey, I'm going to get a great deal in 2012 or 2015 or whenever it was that you bought it, or maybe it was one that you moved out of and you held on to. This is the time to sell it because there's nothing out there available. This is why we can get you top market price, or one of the reasons why, right?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, when you were looking at that previous the homes for sale graph, like you said, there are still more homes selling now than there were, this time last year, and there are fewer homes on the market. So essentially, instead of all these homes coming on the market and some of them selling, it's fewer homes going on the market and all of them are selling.
Yeah,
So
well, look,
yeah, it's
yeah,
a very different situation.
the evidence of that, Jessica, April of this year, 5,115 closed sales. April of last year, a little more than 4,000. That's an increase of over 26%.
Yep.
Some of that could be skewed because of COVID last year. I know this time last year we were, very much in the middle of shutdown and what's the world, what's happening in the world and all that. That could be part of it. But even if you look at March of 2021, almost 5,100 compared to March of 2020, a little more than 4,500. So that's about a 10% increase. So I mean that the demand is there, is what we're saying. The amount of homes for sale is not. And so that's why, again, we're urging you, if you have a home that you've thought at all about selling, reach out to us. I know probably the biggest thought that can run through a lot of people's minds when they see these stats. Well, hey, I've thought about making a move, but you're telling me there's not much out there available. In fact, let's just pull up one of the counties and make it real. Let's look at Williamson County. So Williamson County, there's across all price points, and Williamson County is a big county. I mean, it's not Nashville, it's not Davidson County, but aside from that, it's one of the biggest counties in our area. There's only 642 homes for sale in the entire county. So you might be thinking, well, hey, where am I going to move to? We have programs that we can get you connected with that allow us to help you buy your home first and then sell your home at your convenience. And it allow us to make the move at your leisure, I guess you could say. I don't want to be too loose with leisure, but it allows us to move on your timeline. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say, Jessica?
Yeah, and I think the most important note to make about that program is that you would not be holding two mortgages at the same time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so it really is, it's a very unique, very, very advantageous program for a market like this.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you're somebody who's out there and you're thinking to yourself like, man, I don't want to have two mortgages, but I'm outgrowing my home. Maybe your family's growing, or maybe you're an empty nester. Maybe you're on the other side of that, the stages of life, and your kids have moved out. And you're like, I don't want to hold on to this big home, and you want something a little bit smaller. Guys, we have options for you to make this happen. You just got to raise your hand and let us know that you want those options, and we can connect you with them. We can make this happen for you. But just to kind of hopefully hammer down this point, like Williamson County, the 642 homes, just to put that in perspective, it's down almost 74% over this time last year. April of 2020, there were over 2,400 homes for sale. Now it's 642. Guys, that's a quarter of the homes that were available. That's why, as a home seller, you have the advantage. That's why we can leverage these market conditions and get you tens of thousands of dollars, likely more than the home is worth. We're in a great spot to do this.
So Rob, what should someone do if they want to talk about the overall market or their individual situation?
Well, if they're seeing this live, put a comment in and we can absolutely even go off of that real quick. If they're not seeing this live though, and they're seeing this recorded through our emails or through YouTube, or maybe they just saw it on my Facebook page, they need to reach out to us and raise their hand and say, hey, we want some more information. guys, even if you say, hey, I'm not sure if I want to move, I just want some info, that's absolutely fine. Like, if you're getting this information, we have a connection with you in some form or fashion. When we have this connection, we want to be a resource for you. It's not just about putting our sign in the yard and helping you move tomorrow. It's about being your advocate, being your fiduciary to help you with what you want. And so reach out to us, raise your hand and say, hey, we want some help. You can call us at 615-591-5665. You can email us, info@foliaproperties.com. You can comment on this post. You can, if you're getting this in email, you can hit reply and it'll come right to us. We want to help you is what we're saying.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we hope to talk to you all soon. And thank you so much for watching today.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.